Economic implications of Scotland's push for independence with Barry Eichengreen. He's the economics and political science professor at the University of California at Berkeley.
Well, I think this has always been a protest vote, so many people were hoping that the no camp would win, but only by 51 to 49. So I think there was some alarm when the yes voters leapt out ahead temporarily. In addition, I think the economic arguments against independence are beginning to sink in.
One thing in particular that has been brought up is these assets, the revenues and the taxes, and a part of that is the oil and gas part of it. How important of a role does that potentially play if they were to succeed?
Well, it plays an important role right now. There's a lot of uncertainty about who would own the oil and gas in what proportions and where the revenues would go, Edinburgh or London. But output of North Sea oil begins to decline, according to the best estimates, after 2018. And it declines pretty rapidly towards zero by 2040. So it matters now, but it's not enough to support a viable Scottish economy in the medium term.
We've heard officials from the UK side that said that if Scotland were to become independent, that they would ultimately lose the access to the currency of the UK, which is the pound. And some have said that that's basically a threat, saying that if you leave, you won't get the pound and your economy would be in shambles essentially in the short term. Do you think is that real?
I think it's a credible threat that the Bank of England and Westminster don't want to be responsible for the Scottish monetary system and the Scottish banking system in particular. So the financial sector in Scotland is very large. If Scotland adopted sterling unilaterally, it would have very limited ability to bail out its own banks, and it would have to turn to London. And the Brits don't want to be put in the position of having to bail out Scottish banks.
Standard & Poor's came out with a report just recently saying that if Scotland were their own country, the credit rating would be a BBB minus. That's very much just on the edge of investment grade rating. Is that something that perhaps would cause voters to sway one way or another to say that, look, if you were on your own, you could potentially have a good enough credit rating to go out and borrow money on the foreign markets?
BBB minus may be on the edge of investment grade, but it's not very good. The UK is AAA. Ireland, until recently a deeply troubled economy, is A minus. So BBB minus would be worrisome. I think it reflects the fact that there is high uncertainty about what kind of monetary and financial arrangements would be put in place going forward. Scotland doesn't have a central bank. It doesn't have a track record of monetary stability. It would have to prove itself, and the markets would take their time before rewarding it, I think.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind that you're going to be watching for? Let's start with the yes vote.
Well, with a yes vote, I think there would be flight away from UK assets more generally because of the uncertainty factor, which would be much even higher than it's been for the last few weeks. I think there would be particular uncertainty about UK financials. Would the Scottish banks pack up and move to London? If so, what would that imply for their operations? So I would look, number one, at the sterling exchange rate, number two, at British equities and financial sector equities in particular. None of them would react favorably.
And if it was a no?
And if it's a no, I think everybody would slowly begin to return to business as usual. The other thing I would add is a no would probably be a good thing for the Eurozone as well, because if Scotland left the UK, it would be easier for Catalonia to leave Spain and for other separatist movements in the Eurozone to make their case. So putting those issues to rest, I think, would be a positive for the euro as well.